thank you again for taking the time to meet with us and work over this issue. We greatly appreciate it. And the viewers greatly appreciate it as well.
Thank you. And I'm going to express my appreciation to the media whenever we start recording. So you let us know when.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
Well, thank you for contacting us today. I greatly appreciate it. But more importantly, let me thank you for the press coverage. It is my belief that the coverage has made a difference because the magnitude, the size of this problem has been exposed. But for this kind of exposure, I'm not sure that we would be at a point wherein we are seeing some movement in a positive direction today. Some 23 persons have been brought in to assist in eliminating the backlog, and there are 10 additional persons brought in with management skills who are going to provide assistance as well. I don't know the timeline for getting this concluded, but I do believe that that should be concluded within the near future, hopefully. That is my prayer, because we're getting close to the elections, and we want to make sure that all goes well with the mail that is associated with the election. All mail is important, but I do want to stress that the mail for the election is something that we don't want to see handled in any way other than the appropriate way.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. I'm ready for some questions or.
Okay. Yes, I'll take the questions.
Okay, great. So has I know the post office has been saying that they're modernizing things, and that's the issue. That's the reason behind the delay. Have they been a little bit more specific with you? I understand the modernization, but can they give us have they told you anything else besides that?
I have not received any information beyond modernization and persons being brought in to assist, and the need for persons to become acclimated to some of the new technology that they may be bringing on board. All of these things are very important, but in their modernization, my hope is that they don't downsize to the extent that they don't have the personnel necessary to get things done. I think they need to right size. When you get the right size, you have your technology properly married with the number of persons needed to get the work done. So my hope is that they're right sizing and that they'll get this done as quickly as possible, because we do have these elections coming up, and we want to make sure that the mail ballots are handled timely and appropriately.
And I know I watched a little bit of your press conference today. You were mentioning that this isn't a secret society, that they're answerable to the public. They receive taxpayer dollars as well as their customers. So you, as a congressman who has the sort of the board of this organization, what is your response to their delays and them not being open to you about just telling you what they've told you? What's your response to that?
Exceedingly disappointed. I'm very disappointed. Congressional offices should not become the complaint department for USPS. They should handle their complaints appropriately and timely, just as they should handle the mail. And I believe that we have two things that we're dealing with. One is the delivery of the mail, the delays, and the other is they're not coming before the public and having interviews to explain why we find ourselves in this circumstance and how they're going to extricate us from it. This is very important. My belief is that until they do this, we have not finished our business. And until they do it, they are subject to my requesting a field hearing or a full congressional hearing concerning the behavior of their communications department. That department gets paid good money to answer the questions that the press might have. They do this by way of written communiques. That's fine, but you don't get to answer follow-up questions. And I've had many members of the press that tell me that they don't get any response at all when they make some inquiries. So my belief is that we have to deal with the delays. We have to make sure the system functions as intended, mail is delivered timely and appropriately, but we also have to get an understanding as to how we're going to go forward when there is a concern that needs to be addressed. Congressional offices should not be complaint departments for USPS, and they cannot have a perfunctory complaint department. They have to have one that deals with issues when they arise. Too many people have had their mail delayed, have had packages delayed, a wedding has been spoiled. This lady, Madam Anonymous is what we are calling her because she doesn't want her name mentioned. But this lady, on her wedding day, will forever remember that she didn't get to wear the dress that was so important to her, a dress that she had planned for, had timely requested that it be delivered to her, and was never delivered to her. And to this day, she has not received her wedding dress. Things like this have long-term implications. So they have to understand that they've got to come forward. They've got to take care of the delays, but they also have to explain to this lady, I think she has an explanation owed to her from USPS, not from the congressman, but from the handlers of the package that she placed in their hands. She entrusted her dress to them, and they have not handled it appropriately.
Do you think there needs to be a leadership change at the post office here locally, as well as in Missouri City, as well as in D.C.? Where are you?
I think that these policies are developed in Washington. I have not come to a point of making an appeal for any changes. I want to have the tour. I want to find out if they're going to come before the public and make their positions known. And after they've had an opportunity to do these things, then I'll make decisions as to whether I think there should be some additional requirements of USPS.
Okay, and I know you mentioned the tour. Do we know when that's going to take place?
My colleague, Ms. Garcia, Congresswoman Garcia, is not available currently, and I believe there are other members who may be interested now in the tour as well. So I'm going to wait until I can assemble my colleagues and talk to them about this after I've had an opportunity to visit with them. When I say assemble, not in one place, perhaps by phone or some other way. Members are very busy, but I'm going to try to communicate as best as I can to get some sense of when we can all have this tour, and we'll do it. And after that, I think we can make better decisions about how to proceed. The tour is important, but also they're coming forward to explain to the public why we're in this position and how it is that we're going to avoid having it occur again. I think those are important things for USPS to explain to the public.
And especially, and I know they were limited in what they told you as well, but I understand modernization, I get that, but do you know if there was any plans in place for the modernization? We understand modernization, but you also have to have plans in place while you're modernizing. Can you speak to any of that?
Well, your questions are excellent questions. This is why I should always explain that I can't answer things that they know because I'm not privy to all of their intelligence. And you've asked some excellent questions, salient questions, and they should come forward and answer these questions. Members of Congress should not become the voice of the Postal Service. They have people who are paid good money to answer questions on behalf of USPS, and they should do so. I think they should earn their money, and sometimes earning your money means that you have to appear before a hostile press, not hostile in the sense that you want to hurt someone, but in the sense that you have a message that they may not find favor with. You have questions that they may not want to have put to them, but that's what they get paid to do, to answer questions and make sure that the public has an understanding. And until they do this, our business has not been concluded.
And I want to back up a little bit. I'm sorry. I know you mentioned the oversight, sending information or sending a letter to the oversight community to call for hearings. Do you feel like we're not at that level yet? Are you? Because the oversight would allow a lot of these answers to get answered, And so, do you feel like we're not there yet for oversight, or?
Well, I think oversight can accomplish multiple things. Yes, we can get certain questions answered, but it would also give USPS an understanding that Congress is still watching, that Congress still has its finger on the pulse of the delivery system. I think that they need to know this, but I don't think that I should make this decision without giving them the opportunity to let me see what this modernization looks like, give me the opportunity to get additional questions asked that I have not been able to ask because, quite frankly, some of these questions come to mind after I talk to the press. And it's only after I talk to the press that I conclude certain things are worthy of putting before them. So I want to give them the opportunity. And after they have had the opportunity, we'll make a decision as to whether we should have a field hearing or request a field hearing. I can't give an assurance that there'll be a field hearing. So I don't want to speak for the committee or the chairpersons, the ranking members. I don't do that. But I can make a request, and then they'll make a decision as to whether there should be a field hearing. I believe that if not, we might ask for a full hearing in Washington, D.C. But they need to know that Congress is still watching and wanting to see the mail delivered timely and appropriately. And finally, I think that they need to understand that they have a duty, a responsibility, and an obligation to explain things to the public. And I'm grateful to your station and to the media that covered these issues, because it is that exposure, in my opinion, that has put us in the position such that we can see this positive step forward that they're making now. I think that, but for this exposure, I don't think we'd be where we are currently. I think we might get there, but I don't think we'd be there today. So I'm grateful to the press for what it's done to move this forward in a very positive way.
And just two more quick questions for you. Going back to that field hearing, I know you were saying that you could put in the request, but it's other folks who are going to decide. I guess, Congress, we're a democratic process. So are you going to put in that request, though? Is that something that you want to, that at your level, can you go ahead and put that and tell the viewers that you are putting in that request?
I can make the request, but I have decided that it's appropriate for me to have my tour of the facilities first.
Okay.
I really don't want to have the field hearing. It's not my desire to put USPS before the public at a field hearing or a congressional hearing, a full-blown hearing. That's not my desire. And if I talk to them and they can give me reason to believe that this is not something that's necessary, then I won't do it. But I want them to know that that is one of the options that I have to make the request. I can't guarantee that the hearing will take place, but I can guarantee that I can make the request if we don't find reason to believe that they're going to be moving forward with the mail being delivered timely and appropriately, and that they're going to come forward when there are future issues, because there will be issues in the future. There's no question about it. It's not a perfect world. And they should come forward and explain these things, let people understand what they're doing to eliminate concerns that the public might call to their attention. I have had legitimate concerns brought to the attention of my office. I have vetted them. I know what happened in certain circumstances. Just yesterday, we went over to the VA to help a person who's a caregiver for a veteran, Ms. Ramirez, to get his medicine. And the VA has cooperated with us, and we received that medicine. So I want to thank the folk over at the VA for what they've done to help our veterans get their medication, especially what they did in the case with Ms. Ramirez, whose father is a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, not active duty, but he served his country, and it's time for his country to serve him appropriately.
Okay, great. And I do want to add two things, and you're probably aware of one. We did. Our real one spoke to a business owner yesterday who said that he's lost $10,000 as a result of the mail being delayed at the plant, and that he may now shut down taking online orders because he's not able to fulfill the orders. And then I personally spoke to a person this morning who lives in New York. They sent their immigration paperwork to an attorney in Spring, Texas, and that the immigration paperwork is now being delayed. And they said it's been since December. And they got married, and they're waiting on their green card, and they're still waiting on their green card. They're still waiting on the paperwork, and they're having to pay. They sent in a deposit with that order of $1,800. They're now having to go through their banks and all. So I guess the point I'm getting at is a lot of these people are really demanding. They want the field hearing. They want the post office to answer for this stuff. Even if they get it right, they kind of want to get the post office heat in a sense so that we can prevent this from happening again. What would your response be to the person who's waiting for their immigration paperwork, or the business owner who says, I can't take online orders, it's costing me $10,000?
I have suggested that persons who have legitimate complaints, that they file with a congressional office, my congressional office. I'm not sending people away. And if they'll do this, that is something then that I can vet and make some decisions about how we can process it. And if it is, as you have said, you may be right. This may be the tipping point. These kinds of circumstances may be the tipping point. But we still have to have them give us something in writing that we can vet. And once we vet things, we can make an inquiry. And that's a part of the vetting, to make the inquiry and get a response from USPS. And after that, we can make a decision about the field hearings or some congressional hearing, full hearing in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure how it will transpire, but things like businesses going out of business are clearly good reasons for us to give strong consideration to having some sort of field hearing or full congressional hearing. That's my opinion, and I am a person who can make a request. I cannot guarantee that you'll get the hearing, but I can guarantee that I can make the request once I'm convinced that the hearing is merited.
Okay. And then final question, you said 23 people being brought on and 10 additional plant managers. Is that enough? Do you think that's enough? What do you...
Not understanding the cause of the backlog, not understanding the technology that may be coming online, I'm really not in a position to give an intelligent prognostication prediction as to what will happen, nor am I in a position to say that they don't have enough people involved or the right technology to help them resolve the problem. My hope is that they will come to a resolution, but I stand ready to make my comments on the question that you asked after I've seen the evidence of what they have done.
Okay, great. I think that's it. Any closing thoughts or anything like that?
Only thank you for the coverage. The coverage has made a difference. In my opinion, we are here having this interview because of the coverage. The magnitude of the problem has been exposed, and that has required some attention be given to it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again. I appreciate it, Congressman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.